What happens when a beloved country music star sits down for what should be a friendly chat about his new album and career, only to find himself ambushed by a talk show host with a personal agenda? In just 31 seconds, a simple question about his music turned into a verbal battlefield that shocked viewers across America. Last night, Blake Shelton walked onto the View set expecting the usual promotional interview. Instead, he found himself facing off against Whoopi Goldberg in what became the most explosive television moment of the year. The studio lights were bright and warm as Blake settled into his chair, flashing that signature Oklahoma smile to the live audience. The crowd was already buzzing with excitement, phones recording every moment. Joy Behar sat to his left, shuffling her notes and grinning. Sunny Hostin was reviewing her talking points, while Sarah Haynes adjusted her microphone. The energy felt electric but positive. "We're back with country superstar Blake Shelton," Whoopi announced to the cameras, her voice carrying that familiar authority that viewers had come to know over the years. "Blake, thanks for being here today." "Thanks for having me, Whoopi." "Always a pleasure," Blake replied, his voice relaxed and genuine. He crossed one leg over the other and leaned back slightly, completely at ease. The first few minutes went exactly as planned. Joy asked about his upcoming tour dates, and Blake lit up talking about getting back on the road after the long break. Sunny inquired about his farm life, and he shared some funny stories about his animals that had the audience laughing. Sarah wanted to know about his songwriting process, and Blake gave thoughtful answers about finding inspiration in everyday moments. Everything seemed perfectly normal until Whoopi decided to steer the conversation in a completely different direction. "So Blake," she began, her tone shifting noticeably cooler, "you've been pretty quiet lately about some important social issues. Don't you think celebrities have a responsibility to use their platform?" The question hit Blake like a curveball. His smile faltered for just a moment as he processed what was happening. This wasn't about his music anymore. The other hosts exchanged quick glances, sensing the sudden tension in the air. "Well, Whoopi, I've always believed my job is to entertain people," Blake responded carefully. "When folks come to my concerts or listen to my music, they want to forget their troubles for a while. That's what I try to give them." But Whoopi wasn't satisfied with that answer. She leaned forward, her expression hardening. "That sounds like you're avoiding the real issues that matter to people. How can you just ignore what's happening in the world?" Blake's jaw tightened slightly, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm not ignoring anything. I just think there are plenty of people talking politics already. Maybe what people need is someone who reminds them about the good things in life." "The good things?" Whoopi's voice rose with disbelief. "Blake, people are struggling out there. They're losing their jobs. They can't afford health care. And you want to sing them a happy song?" The audience was starting to murmur. This wasn't the lighthearted interview they had expected. Joy tried to jump in with a joke to lighten the mood, but Whoopi held up her hand to stop her. "I think you're missing my point," Blake said, his Oklahoma drawl becoming more pronounced as his frustration grew. "Music has always been about bringing people together, not dividing them. When I'm up on stage, I see faces from all walks of life singing along to the same songs. That's pretty powerful if you ask me." "Bringing people together?" Whoopi scoffed. "How exactly does staying silent on important issues bring anyone together? Sounds more like taking the easy way out to me." Blake's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. "Whoopi, with all due respect, I don't think performing for people who work hard all week and just want to have a good time on the weekend is taking the easy way out." "Oh, so now you're the voice of working people?" Whoopi shot back. "Tell me, Blake, when was the last time you worried about paying rent or choosing between groceries and medicine?" The attack was personal now, and Blake's face flushed red. Sunny shifted uncomfortably in her seat while Sarah looked down at her hands. Joy's mouth hung open slightly, clearly shocked by how nasty things had become. "That's not fair, and you know it," Blake replied, his voice getting louder. "Just because I've been blessed with success doesn't mean I've forgotten where I came from. I grew up in a trailer in Oklahoma, and my mom worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. And now you live in a mansion and won't speak up for people still living in trailers." Whoopi fired back without missing a beat. "How convenient for you." Blake stood up abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. The studio audience gasped audibly. "You know what, Whoopi? I came here to talk about my music and maybe make people smile for a few minutes. I didn't sign up for this attack." "Attack?" Whoopi laughed coldly. "I'm asking you simple questions about using your influence responsibly. If that feels like an attack, maybe you should examine why." "You're twisting everything I say," Blake said, his voice shaking with anger now. "I never said I don't care about people's problems. I said I try to give them a break from those problems. There's a difference." Whoopi stood up as well, matching his energy. "A break from reality isn't going to solve anything, Blake. People need leaders, not entertainers who hide behind their guitars. The other hosts were frozen, unsure whether to intervene or let this play out. The cameras kept rolling as the confrontation escalated beyond anything viewers had seen before. Hide behind my guitar? Blake's voice cracked with disbelief. Lady, I've been making music for 20 years, connecting with millions of people. What exactly have you been hiding behind? The studio fell dead silent. Even the camera operators seemed to hold their breath. Whoopi's eyes flashed with rage at being called out so directly on her own show. Excuse me? She said slowly, each word dripping with venom. I've been fighting for what's right since before you knew what a recording contract was. Fighting? Blake laughed bitterly. You mean yelling at guests who don't agree with you? Real brave, Whoopi. Really making a difference there. Joy finally found her voice and tried desperately to salvage the situation. Guys, maybe we should take a breath here and talk about Blake's new single instead? But both Blake and Whoopi ignored her completely, locked in their verbal battle. You don't know anything about me or what I've accomplished, Whoopi snarled. I've won awards you've never even heard of. Awards? Blake shook his head in amazement. You think awards give you the right to ambush people on television? To attack them for trying to make people happy? Sonny tried to step in. Blake, I think what Whoopi is trying to say is that with great platform comes great responsibility. Blake whipped around to face her. Don't you dare lecture me about responsibility. I employ hundreds of people. I donate to charities. I support my community. Just because I don't make speeches about it doesn't mean I don't care. Nobody knows about your charity work because you never talk about it, Sarah added quietly, trying to be diplomatic. Exactly, Blake exclaimed, throwing his hands up. Because I don't do it for publicity. I do it because it's the right thing to do. Whoopi rolled her eyes dramatically. How noble of you, the silent hero who just happens to make millions singing about trucks and beer. There you go again. Blake's voice was rising to match hers now, dismissing country music like it's somehow less important than whatever message you're trying to push today. I'm not dismissing country music, Whoopi shot back. I'm dismissing you for wasting the opportunity to make a real difference. Make a difference? Blake was incredulous. Do you know how many people have told me my songs got them through tough times? How many couples have had their first dance to my music? How many families have bonded at my concerts? But sure, that doesn't matter because I'm not giving political speeches. The audience was starting to take sides now, with some people clapping for Blake's words while others remained silent. The division in the room was palpable. Pretty songs don't change laws, Whoopi said coldly. They don't fix broken systems. And angry talk show segments do? Blake fired back instantly. When was the last time you changed anyone's mind by yelling at them on television? Whoopi's face went bright red. I inform people. I educate them about issues that matter. You bully people, Blake corrected her. You invite them on your show and then attack them if they don't say exactly what you want to hear. Joy was frantically signaling to the producers off stage, clearly desperate for someone to cut to commercial. But the confrontation was too explosive to stop now. I ask tough questions, Whoopi insisted. Something more journalists should do instead of just letting celebrities promote their products. Tough questions? Blake laughed harshly. You didn't ask me anything about my music, my tour, or my career. You started attacking me from the minute you decided I wasn't political enough for your taste. Sarah tried once more to redirect. Blake, can you tell us about working with your band on the new album? But Blake was done playing nice. You know what, Sarah? I'd love to talk about my band and my music, but your colleague here seems more interested in tearing me down than learning anything about what I do. I'm interested in accountability, Whoopi declared, something you clearly don't understand. Accountability? Blake's voice reached a new level of outrage. I'm accountable to my fans, my family, and myself. I don't need to pass your political purity test to validate my existence. Whoopi stepped closer to him, her finger pointing accusingly. Your fans deserve better than someone who won't stand up for what's right. My fans deserve someone who respects them enough to let them think for themselves. Blake shot back, not backing down an inch. Unlike you, I don't treat people like they're too stupid to form their own opinions. The insult hit its mark. Whoopi's composure finally cracked completely. Get out, she said quietly. Blake blinked. What? I said get out of my studio, Whoopi repeated, louder this time. If you can't handle having a real conversation about real issues, then you don't belong here. The audience gasped audibly. Joy's jaw dropped open. Sunny covered her face with her hands. Sarah stared in shock. Blake stood perfectly still for a moment, processing what had just happened. Then a slow smile spread across his face. Your studio? He said calmly. I thought this was supposed to be a show where different viewpoints were welcome. Guess I was wrong about that. He reached down and unclipped his microphone, setting it gently on the chair. You know what, Whoopi? You're right. I don't belong here. This isn't about having conversations or learning from each other. This is about you proving how righteous you are by tearing down anyone who doesn't fall in line. He turned to face the cameras directly. To everyone watching at home, I'm sorry you had to see this. I came here to talk about music and ended up in a political ambush. But I guess that's what happens when you expect civility and get activism instead. Blake started walking toward the exit, but Whoopi couldn't resist getting the last word. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. Blake stopped and turned back one final time. Class act till the end, aren't you, Whoopi? And with that, Blake Shelton walked off the view stage, leaving behind a stunned audience, speechless co-hosts, and one very angry Whoopi Goldberg standing alone at center stage.